All right, me and Forrest are here to go through the white belt curriculum for the kids. We're gonna go white to gray white belt, all right? The first technique is gonna be a break fall. All right, for break fall, I wanna make sure we're doing a couple things. We wanna protect our head. So when we go to the side, we're gonna tuck our chin to our chest, all right? Second thing we're gonna do, we're gonna pop a squat like we're about to go to the bathroom, probably number 2 for a boy. Chin to the chest, squat down. When we hit the mat, we're gonna give the mat 5, and my back and hands are gonna hit at the same time. One time from this angle, I'm going to be here, chin to the chest, squat down, fall back, break fall. The second technique that we're going to do is going to be our upa, okay? So when we're going to upa or shrimp down the mat, we're going to start in prone position. We're going to be down. We're always going to have our hands in Tyrannosaurus Rex position, so nice and close. Our kitty cat paws for some of the other younger students, all right? We're gonna bridge up so my shoulders are on the mat, but my butt is lifted off the mat, and I'm gonna touch my shoulder and my hip to the mat. Now I'm gonna bring my feet back underneath me and bring my butt back to the floor. Now I'm gonna elevate my hips once again, and we're gonna turn in the other direction. So my other shoulder and my other hip are gonna hit the mat. And then I'm gonna come back. This is a very common escape that we use to escape a lot of positions in jiu-jitsu, so it's very important that we do it. More full speed. The next technique that we need on the belt test is going to be our penetration step. So when we do a penetration step, we're going to change levels, which means we're going to bend our knees. Our hands are going to be out in front. Our front knee is going to touch the mat. My back leg is going to come through, step up, and now I'm going to lift my body up, just like I lift a bad guy. All right, so one more time. You're going to be in a good stance. I'm going to step my foot forward. That knee is going to hit the mat. My back leg is going to come through, and I'm going to step up. One more time. Good stance. Front leg comes down. Back leg comes through, and up I come. Full speed once. The next technique we're going to do is going to be our butt scoot. When we butt scoot, we're going to be sitting on the floor in supine position. We're going to have one hand in front. To butt scoot backwards, hand on the mat. We're going to push with the opposite foot. Just scoot back. Switch sides. Scoot back. When we go forward, we're going to pull with that leg. Scoot forward. Switch sides. Scoot forward. Towards the camera. Hand up. Protect from the bad guy. Foot on the mat. Scoot back. Hand on the mat. Scoot forward, butt scoot. The next move we're going to do is going to be a partner drill. It's going to be our ankle bone to hip bone or our cross step pass. One partner is going to lay prone, feet on the floor, knees up. Feet on the floor, knees up, please. I'm going to put my hands on the knees. I'm going to step around. My outside ankle is going to step to the outside. My inside ankle is going to go to his outside hip. Boom, ankle bone to hip bone. I'm going to come back. My outside leg is going to step to the outside. My inside leg is going to circle around and come to his hip. Ankle bone to the hip bone. Both my feet are on the outside when I go. My outside foot's going to step to the outside. My inside foot's going to swing around. Now, if you notice, I have both my feet on the outside. That's the way the technique is supposed to happen. All right, full speed. Ankle bone to the hip bone. Come back. Ankle bone to the hip bone. Our goal with this drill should be able to get from side to side relatively quickly with the same footwork. Thank you, Forrest. So front angle, hands on the knees. I don't put a lot of my weight on my knees. That's one of the mistakes I make. So if my partner's legs collapse, I don't want to fall off, right? I have weight on his knees, but not all my weight. I'm going to step out, ankle bone to the hip bone. Hand stays on the knee. Ankle bone to the hip bone. Ankle bone to the hip bone. The next technique we're going to do is going to be our mount drill. Okay, mount's a very powerful position in jiu-jitsu. My son Forrest here is going to help me show it. All right, Forrest is going to be down. His feet are going to be on my hips. I'm going to grab the knees of his pants, or his pant legs, right here. I'm going to jump back, push his feet to the mat. As I push his feet to the mat, I'm going to maintain that pressure down. I'm going to slide my hips forward and slide into mount position. Forrest's going to have his feet on me. I'm going to jump back, push his feet on the mat. One good motion. Now I'm going to drive my hips forward. I'm going to ride his legs like he's a slide. Whee! All the way down to the floor. Hands can come down to the mat. All right, one more time facing you guys. Forrest's feet are going to be on my hip. We never want feet on our hips in jiu-jitsu, so I'm going to remove them. I'm going to drive my hips forward, ride Forrest's slide all the way down to the mat. Hands on the mat. All right, our next technique is going to be spider kid mount. So when we're down in spider kid, Forrest's going to push me up. When Forrest pushes me up, I'm just going to take my arms, swim through, and I just can't swim through. I got to drive with my hips to get his hands off of me. He's going to push me up again. I'm going to swim my arms in, drive through. If Forrest pushes me off to the side, I'm going to grab his head and post out. If he pushes me the other side, I'm going to grab and post out. Pushes me the other side, grabs and posts out. Pushes me up, pushes me up. I'm going to swim and finish him out. Okay, we should always finish back into spider kid mount. One day we'll tell that story and it'll be fun. And that's what you need for your first tip at Wipeout. Forrest and Caveman back at integrity. We're going to do our run through of the second tip for our Wipeout for Kids class. All right, the first technique we're going to need to do is going to be a double leg takedown with a leg scoop. Okay, so since we're doing jiu-jitsu, we're going to do a jiu-jitsu double leg takedown. Okay, so I'm going to pull the collars when he comes up. My front leg is going to go down. Both my hands are going to grab his legs. That's what makes it a double leg takedown and not a single leg takedown. Double means what? Two. So I grab both legs. My front knee goes down. My hands grab both his legs. My foot is going to circle around. I'm going to drive him to the mat. One more time from this angle. I pull Forrest down. As his head comes up, that gives me an opportunity to change my level, which means I'm going to bend my knee. I take that penetration step that we worked in the last tip, and I use it to enter in. I'm going to grab both his legs. I'm going to scoop this leg around, drive with my head, take my opponent to the floor. We're going to work a mount escape right now. We're going to do our first mount escape for the kids' curriculum. We're going to do our shark bite, okay? So somehow my opponent mounted me. My opponent gets mounted. If he's down, it works out perfect. If he's up, I'm going to bump him with my knees to bring him down to spider kick. Okay? Once he gets down, I might need to even use both gi grips too. So if he's up and I can't bump him with my knee, I'm going to grab his gi, whatever I got to do to get him onto the mat. Okay? Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to raise my hand like I have to go to the bathroom, and I'm going to hook this arm in. This is going to be our shark bite, right? This is the bite. Ha! Shark bite. I want to make sure that my opponent or my partner grabs my shoulder so he doesn't hurt his hand. This foot is going to step right to here. So I'm blocking his leg. I'm taking both table legs away. Now I'm going to bridge up, and I'm going to force his head down to the mat. Okay, once I bridge up, I'm going to punch this arm through, come over, end up on top, and make sure I make good posture. Look up to the ceiling. Okay? One more time for another angle. Force is up. I got to break him back down. Ha! Good. I raise my hand, control this arm, step over. When I bridge up, his head should come down to the mat. Now I'm going to take this arm and I punch through. Come up, make good posture. One time facing the camera. One time facing the camera. Forrest got that good posture. I get him down. I raise my hand. Shark bite. He makes sure he grabs my shoulder. Trap the leg. I'm going to oop up forward. Punch through. Come up on top. Our last one for our second tip is going to be back control. Okay, the back control is awesome. We're just going to practice getting a stinky hand on top. Okay, so Forrest is going to be down. I'm going to have his back. When I have his back, I should have my hooks in. My hooks are going to be my legs. They're my 2 points of control, and they keep Forrest from escaping. I'm going to pinch my knees, make sure he doesn't get away. Now, I'm going to put a seatbelt on, over the top, a shoulder belt. I'm going to put a seatbelt on first, over the top, a shoulder belt, and I'm going to lock it in nice and tight. If you notice, there's a stinky arm side. That's the hand that's underneath the stinky armpit. All right, that's going to be our stinky hand. We have a pillow side. That's what side he's going to sleep on, okay? When we go, the pillow side is always going to be on the bottom, and the stinky hand is always going to be on the top. So it's going to look like this. I'm going to bring him back and hug nice and tight. All right, the reason for this is if force peels off my hand, I can still choke it. All right, so we're going to practice switching sides. Stinky hand on top. Stinky hand on top. Stinky hand on top. All right, that's it. Pretty simple. We're going to go over our third tip curriculum for white belt for the kids class. All right, first technique is going to be single leg takedown. All right, so force is going to be here. I'm going to grab his collar and his sleeve. All right, I'm going to want to attack that leg. I want to attack the sleeve side. So I'm going to pull him. When his leg comes here, I'm going to change levels. I'm going to hang on to the sleeve. I'm going to let go of the sleeve, grab his leg with both my hands, push with my head, and pick up his leg. Once I pick up his leg, I'm going to pinch it with my legs. I'm going to maintain his grip. My outside hand, the one around his back, is going to come to his hip. I'm going to use my head and look up and back towards him. And I'm going to pull with his hand. And I'm going to put him down on the mat. Right into passing position. One more time from the other side. I'm going to be right here. I'm going to have collar and sleeve. I'm going to pull so his leg comes to me. Change levels. Attack the leg. I'm going to take my hands from here. Let go. Grab both my hands on his leg. My head's going to be on the inside. Push him back. So his leg is in between mine. I'm going to pinch my knees as hard as I can. This hand is going to reach around his back. I'm going to grab here or his belt. My head is going to come up to his chest. I'm going to hang on to his leg. I'm going to step away from his butt and I'm going to pull him down to the mat. That's our single leg takedown. All right, our next movement for our third tip is going to be the scissor sweep. All right, scissor sweep is one of my favorites. It's going to be our first full guard sweep. So I'm going to have force in my full guard, which means my legs are locked around his back. I'm going to control a cross collar grip, which means my hand's going to reach across and inside his collar. I want it as nice and deep as I can get. And I'm going to have the same side wrist grip, okay? Now, I'm going to do a little shrimp like we just practiced earlier. And now I'm going to put my knee in across his chest. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to look at my watch, like my watch is on the bottom of my wrist, so I'm exposing his arm. I'm going to drop my foot to the mat. I'm going to kick with my leg and pull in with my other leg like a scissors. So my legs are making a scissors motion, just like we're cutting paper. Force is going to fall over. Now I'm going to use these two grips. I'm going to pull myself up into the mounted position. From the other side, I'm going to have force and full guard. I'm going to have a cross collar grip, near side wrist, shrimp out, knee comes in, foot comes down. I'm going to pull him on top of my knee so his weight is off his hips. I bring his wrist up, push his hand in, scissors my legs, come on up to the mounted position. One time facing the camera. One time facing the camera, open the gi, get my deep grip, control the wrist, shrimp out, knee comes in, leg drops down, pull him forward, look at my watch, scissors forced over, pull myself up to mount. Our last technique for the third tip is going to be one of our most useful. It's going to be defense on the feet. We're going to sprawl, cross face, and spin behind our opponent, okay? So we're going to start out right here. My opponent is going to shoot. He can just stop right here. I'm going to sprawl. My chest is going to go on his back, and he's got to be ready to put his hands on the mat. Good. Now I'm going to take my arm. I'm going to push his face away. This is the cross face. And now I'm going to spin away from his face and take his back to turtle position. Okay? Now from the other side, Forrest's gonna shoot. Boom, I'm gonna catch. My chest is gonna go on his back. I'm gonna sprawl my legs back. He's gonna sprawl. I'm gonna push his face away with a cross face. Spin and go to turtle. All right. A couple more times. Forrest shoots. And sprawl. I cross face. Make his face look away. And spin away from the cross face. And make my seatbelt. And shoot. And sprawl. Cross face. Spin behind. Get my grips. All right, we're on to our fourth tip now for the kids class curriculum, from white to gray white. Now, the next one is going to be rear naked choke. All right, this is our very first choke. Remember, when our opponent taps, we let go immediately. So any kind of tap, we let go as soon as they tap us. All right, I'm going to have my opponent's back just like we did in the earlier drill. So now I'm going to have both hooks in. I'm going to have stinky hand, pillow side. Once again, stinky hand's gonna go on top. This time I'm gonna pull Forrest to me. I'm gonna take him over to the stinky side. As I go to the stinky side, I'm gonna grab his wrist and get my hands around his neck. Now I'm gonna pull this hand out, put it behind his head, and I'm gonna grab my own bicep like this and squeeze. Okay? When I'm grabbing my own bicep, I'm doing this right here without putting my arm over here. Because if I put my arm over here, Forrest's going to take my arm and make me tap out, which is going to be silly. If I tap out like that, everyone's going to turn their head in shame. Okay? So when I take Forrest over, I'm going to pull him into me nice and tight. We're going to fall off this side. My hand's going to come up to his shoulder. I'm going to catch his wrist. We're going to fall over. I'm going to pull my arm out, shoot my arm behind his head, grab my own bicep, and choke. Okay? Without a partner in there, I'm going to scoop my hand underneath, pull my hand out, shoot it in, and choke. All right, the next technique we're going to do, we're going to escape back control. Forrest is going to have my back, and I'm going to escape. So once he gets his hooks in, he's going to have his harness in. I don't want to go to the seatbelt side, so I lift my legs up so his feet are not touching the ground. Now I can control which way I go. While I'm doing this, I want to make sure I protect my neck. We're going to fall off to the side. As soon as we hit the side, I'm going to try and get my head on the mat. Now I'm going to work to get my shoulders on the mat. Once my shoulders are on the mat and I have my butt on the floor, my opponent's going to realize he's giving up and he's going to come up. And now I'm going to end up in half guard. Now I can just post on my shoulder, get the full guard if I want to. All right? But for the technique, we're going to end up in half guard. Once again, my opponent's going to be on me, over, under, bring my knees up, control the choke, fall off to the side, get my hands on the mat, and Forrest comes up, and end up in half guard. All right? Do it from this angle once. Forrest's going to have hooks and harness in. I'm going to protect my neck, feet come up, fall to the side. I get my shoulders on the mat, I get my back on the mat, Forrest comes up, and I end up in guard. Alright? If I'm here and I have an open guard like this, I can just push my Forrest, bring my other knee up, and now I have guard. Alright, the next one, the last one for fourth tip on our white belt test is going to be side control escape, frame or recompose. This is a super simple one when we work in class all the time. Very common escape. I'm going to be down, Forrest's going to be in side control. I need to make two frames, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to punch Forrest in the face. I'm going to oopa up, and I'm going to use that ability and space to bring this elbow to the inside. Once I get to the inside, my first frame is going to go to his back. I don't want to be on his hip because he can fall and hurt my hip. Or I don't want to be on his hip because he can fall and hurt my wrist if he just back steps there. So I want to make sure my frame is here and I'm using my elbow to push his hip away. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to do the same motion again. I'm going to push away, bring my frame to the inside. So now I have a frame across his neck and a frame across his hip. I'm going to shrimp away. I'm going to use my bottom leg. It's going to come and it's going to touch my elbow to the inside of his body. Now I'm going to use these three frames to push away, put my other foot in, and re-guard Forrest. All right, from the other side. Forrest is going to be in side control. He's got good side control. His knees against my hip, his other one's underneath my armpit. I'm going to make a fist. I'm going to punch Forrest away, get my elbow to the inside. My hand is going to go on his back. If it's too close and he takes a back step, he's going to hurt my wrist, and I don't want that to happen. So I want to make sure that my hand is hit. I'm going to punch again, circle my hand to the inside. If my partner's being very difficult to get to the inside, when I punch, I'm going to scrape my hand on his face and get my inside control. Now I'm going to lift my elbow a little bit, post with my elbow, shrimp away. My bottom leg is going to come inside and it touches my elbow. Now I'm going to use that to move my head from in line with him to all the way over here and make my body into a straight line. My foot is going to come into his hip, and I'm going to re-guard. All right, we're rolling right into our gray belt test. Now, to get your gray white belt, you're going to need to demonstrate these techniques. Our next technique is going to be a real simple one. It's the hip bump sweep. All right, so Forrest is going to be down. Once again, we in full guard. Forrest can either start with posture on me, or for the beginning, we can even start down here. All right, so we're going to start in full guard. My opponent is going to have his hands on the mat for this technique when we first start. As we get more advanced and we do it, Forrest is going to have his hands on me, and I can bring him down to get to this position. But for now, he's just going to start with his hands down on the mat. I'm going to reach up. I'm going to act like I'm putting my stinky armpit right into his face. But instead of going to his face, I'm going to go all the way over to his shoulder so my partner doesn't get my stinky armpit in his face. When I come up, I'm going to grab his elbow and maintain control right here. Once I get to here, I'm going to come up on my hand. So now I have his elbow, and I'm posted on my hand. My feet are going to come into the mat, and this is where the bump part comes. I'm going to put my hip right on his, I'm going to put my butt right on his hip and knock him back. This is the bump, all right? So when we do this, it's going to be a real bump. Now I'm just going to sweep my leg over, come up on top, resettle the mount, all right? Different angle. I'm going to be in guard. Forrest's hands are going to be on the ground. I'm going to take my armpit, pretending I'm putting his face, but I'm going to miss and hit his elbow. But I'm going to miss and put it right on his shoulder. I'm going to come up, open my guard, feet go on the floor, my hip is going to come up, bump him back. I'm going to high leg this leg over, end up on top, mounted position. One more time, coming towards the camera. I'm going to have Forrest in full guard. Hands are going to be on the floor. I sit up, come up onto my arm, control the elbow, open up the guard, bump him, high leg over, finish the spider. The next and last technique for our gray belt is going to be the double knee push sweep. We call this one the Santiago sweep at Integrated Martial Arts because we have this girl, Lily Santiago, that hit this probably 15 times in the tournament. So here at Integrated we call it the Santiago sweep. But on the test is going to be the double knee push sweep. All right, once again, we're starting full guard. This time my opponent's going to stand up. When my opponent stands up, I'm going to keep my guard locked. I'm going to grab their heels. I'm going to take my knees, push him in the chest, make him fall down. When he falls down, I'm going to open up my legs, reach forward, grab his gi, pull my one knee up, pull my other knee up, and maintain the mounted position. Then start in full guard, my opponent stands up. I take my hands, grab his heels, open up my knees, push in his chest, knock him down to the mat. Here I'm going to open up my knees, putting him in the splits, which is terrible for him. I'm going to grab his gi, stand on the mat, pull my first leg up, second leg up, mounted position. Once coming towards the camera, I'm going to have Forrest in guard. He stands up. I grab his heels, open up my legs, push my knees, break him down to the mat. Open my legs, grab his gi, come up one leg, two legs. All right, and the last thing you need to do for your gray white test is know all the positions in jiu-jitsu, all the major positions at least. So what we're gonna look at. We're gonna look at guard. Full guard. I'm gonna have my legs wrapped around Forrest, controlling a sleeve or a sleeve and collar grip. Okay, we don't want to just do everything with no grips. Jiu-jitsu is all about grips, so every position we're gonna make sure we have grips. All right, this is gonna be full guard. Our next position is gonna be half guard. So this time I'm just gonna have one of his legs. That's what makes a half guard. If I have half guard, I'm gonna be up on my side, controlling right here. Or I can have knee shield and have collar wrist. All right, these are all half guards. The next position is gonna be mount. So Forrest is gonna be down and I'm gonna mount Forrest. When we mount, we're gonna use Spider Kid mount for the test. There's other mounts, but for the curriculum test, we're just gonna have both our knees outside of his hips, squeezing our knees, hands on the mat, nice and low. Good position right here. We're stopping him from hitting us and we're just controlling the position. We're going to have north-south position, okay? So Forrest, can you turn? Maybe another, so your head's facing me? Good. North-south position is gonna be, he's down, I'm gonna reach over the top, my elbows are gonna go into his armpits, my head is gonna go down inside of his belly. I'm gonna be right here, all right? This is the position we're gonna be in. So one more time, he's gonna be down in a prone position, my elbows are gonna come underneath his armpits, my hands go on his hip, my head's gonna go in his belly. That's gonna be our basic north-south position. All right, the next guard we're gonna look at is gonna be butterfly guard. When we're in butterfly guard, my opponent is gonna be on his knees. I'm gonna be seated, and we have both of my shins inside of his legs and my knees on the outside like a butterfly. When I have a butterfly guard, we're either gonna have a sleeve and a lapel, or an over-under grip, where I have an underhook and an overhook. Or on the other side, I have an underhook and an overhook. All right, so I have an overhook on this side, which means my arm is over. When I have an underhook, that means my arm is under. And we both have the same thing, except I have the legs in, so I have a more dominant position. All right, there's gonna be knee on belly. Forrest is flat on the mat. I'm gonna have one knee going across his belly. My other foot has got to be up with my knee facing the ceiling. I want to drive my pressure in. I'm going to have one hand on the collar, one hand on the opposite leg. All right, this is going to be our suitcase position with knee on belly. One of our main attacking positions in Jiu-Jitsu is going to be side control. So it's going to be really important that we get side control too. When I have side control, I'm going to have one hand underneath his head. So I'm controlling his head. I'm going to have one knee under his armpit. I'm going to have one knee by his hip. And my other hand is going to lock over the top. When I lock my hands, my hand that is underneath his head is going to be palm down, and my hand that's underneath his armpit is going to be palm up. So when I put shoulder pressure on him, I can generate a lot of shoulder pressure, okay? If I'm the other way, not so much. Side. All right, so when I'm in side control, I'm going to have one knee underneath his armpit, one knee on his hip. I'm going to have a hand underneath, and then control, lots of pressure. Other side. Facing the camera. When I'm here, I'm going to have one knee underneath his armpit, one knee on his hip. My hand is going to come underneath. My other hand is going to have on the far side underhook, so he can't turn away. I'm going to be right here, nice and tight pressure. This is side control. Last but not least is going to be back control. I'm going to be right here. Remember, we're going to have stinky hand, pillow side, stinky hands on top. One of our main, can you lay down flat facing the camera? Facing the camera. All right, thanks for watching. You ready for the test? Let's go. Loose.